speaking of Barbara Jordan, I'm going to come back to you, Susan, for your comments about this, because many important speeches from Martin Luther King to Malcolm X, Jesse Jackson have focused on themes of race. And here's a clip from one of the great speeches at a Democratic convention. It is Barbara Jordan, 1976.
Tonight, here I am. And I feel that notwithstanding the past, that my presence here is one additional bit of evidence that the American dream need not forever be deferred.
Is there such a thing, Susan, as a, I don't know, African-American style speech? Is that an example of it?
Well, I'm probably not the right one to ask that question to. I think it's more about a great speech, and because race has been one of the great challenges of our time, obviously, I remember Jesse Jackson's speech well from the 1984 convention. I mean, there are moments when addressing that great issue brings out a level of eloquence that's memorable. But the problem I think Barack Obama faces tonight is that everyone knows he gives a great speech. I mean, if this were a contest for Speaker of the United States, the best speech maker, I think there's no question that Barack Obama would be ahead by 10 points, 20 points off the charts. And that's in some ways a disadvantage, because giving a great speech, electrifying the crowd, holding 75,000 people, may not be the right test for Barack Obama tonight. I think the test more important is, does he say something which can convince Americans that he will make their lives better if he's president? I once sat down with Bill Clinton, and I said, enough with the big speeches. Give me 3 reasons, this is when he was a candidate, that my life as a wife, as a mother, as a hard worker will be better if you're president. And that's the challenge for Obama.
I want to return to the race question in just a second with you, Charlton, but before I do, Susan raised something that I'd like to address with Chris, and that's this. Is it a different amount of preparation or a different kind of preparation to prepare a speech for an outside venue like tonight at Invesco Field versus perhaps having given it inside the Pepsi Center, a smaller, enclosed venue?
I do think there probably is going to be some hurdles they'll have to get over in terms of the sound of a stadium on that size. I mean, we've all been in a baseball stadium or a football stadium and listened to the loudspeaker system echo. And, for someone like Obama, who is an extraordinary speaker, that may be a problem. Just the size and the acoustics of the place may be a problem. I would, if I can, would go back to Susan's point as well. I completely agree that he needs to do more than he has done so far in terms of giving Americans a reason to vote for him. I think his message of change, which has gotten him this far, but seems to have stalled in recent weeks. And I think it's because, in part, it is a slogan, and it has become a very much a one-dimensional kind of change. I'm not George Bush, he's bad, I'm not him, and John McCain is. I mean, that's basically what we've got. And I think it's incumbent upon him tonight that he must convince Americans not only how, in some very concrete, specific way, he'll make their lives better, but that he is also that he has the judgment, experience, that he is fit to lead as commander-in-chief. That's a big hurdle for him tonight, I think.
Charlton, one of the things that Hillary Clinton did in her speech successfully, I think, was to talk about the role and the power, the empowering of women vis-a-vis her candidacy. So tonight, does Barack Obama talk about race, or does he stay away from it entirely?
I think he does have to talk about race, and I think he has not to be afraid to do so. I think what he needs to do is to place himself, this historical moment, in this historical narrative that starts with the ideals of the founders, moves right through the civil rights movements to here with Barack Obama. The thing I think he has to do, though, is to frame it as progress, something we did. I stand here because us as Americans put aside our prejudices, our resentment, our hatred of others, and have come to the point where they can nominate me and envision me being president of the United States.
We're going to bring our conversation to a close with this. All of you, I said, are experienced at speech writing. And in terms of the speech that we are going to hear tonight, how much of it is actually written by the candidate himself or herself? Susan?
That totally depends on the candidate. My guess is, knowing a little bit about Barack Obama, that he has been deeply involved in the writing of this speech. Jack Kennedy, I once sat with Ted Sorensen on a plane, and he said to me, Jack Kennedy came up with a lot of the great lines that he gave. I think everybody who approaches an acceptance speech at a convention, and I've been around for a number of them, becomes involved personally in the speech. But for somebody like Barack Obama, who is a writer, who is a man of words, I think we're going to be hearing a lot of his words tonight.
Really quickly, Chris, less than 30 seconds, would you say the candidate writes half, in some cases, his or her speech?
I would totally agree with Susan on this. It really depends upon the candidate. And the candidate, some of them, as an Obama, who I've read some of his books, is an extraordinarily good writer. So I would think that he will be involved heavily. Others, not so much. I would expect John McCain to probably have gotten a lot of help and expertise from Mark Salter, who's written books with him, who's a very fine writer.
Well, thank you very much. Unfortunately, our time is out. We'll have to end the discussion right there. Susan Estrich is a professor of law and political science at the University of Southern California. Chris Winston worked in the George H.W. Bush administration. And Charlton McIllwain is an assistant professor of culture and communication at New York University.